Hello, it's Amy Storytime. Welcome back to my channel and enjoy our story today.
Our maid is my real mother. When I was a child, I grew up without a mother. My father told me that she had died in a plane crash when I was 2. I didn't really have any memories of her, but I remember her growing up, always feeling that something was missing. Then one day, I found out exactly what was missing. My name is Wilson, and my life changed after I married the love of my life, Angela, but not for the reason you might think. See, Angela and I had been dating for a while. My father loved her, and I knew that she was the woman I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. When I popped the question, there weren't any concerns that we would divorce or separate. We were both in our 30s, so there was plenty of time to start a family. Neither of us worried when we moved to a new city. You might think I'm strange, but I was addicted to change. As a child, I had decided that the change would keep me from getting bored or sad. Every time a new opportunity came along, I jumped at the chance to greet it. But now I was married, and my relationship, that was something I never wanted to change. In the big city, there were job opportunities everywhere. Angela and I both went right to work. She became a secretary, I became a stockbroker. As you can imagine, we were pretty busy. Still, we managed to dedicate our evenings to being together and enjoying each other's company. 2 months after moving in, Angela and I received the wonderful news that she was pregnant. Of course, I was overjoyed. I'd always wanted to be a father, and I couldn't wait to raise a child. I wanted to teach the baby everything. But 7 months into Angela's pregnancy, she had me sit down for a private conversation. "You know I can't wait to be a mother," she told me. "And I'm going to love our son with my whole heart. But I can't be a stay-at-home mom, and I know you don't want to be a stay-at-home dad." I was confused. Why was she bringing this up now? So I was thinking, we should hire a maid. "A maid?" I repeated. "Like to clean? And take care of the baby while we're working," she responded. "Like a nanny?" "Exactly. I knew you'd be supportive." I wasn't sure how to respond. Of course, I wanted to do whatever would make Angela happy, but I wasn't thrilled with the idea of hiring a stranger to take care of our baby. Slowly, over the next few days, she convinced me. I hired a maid with lots of prior experience. I wanted to make sure our son would be in good hands. As soon as he was born, however, I was tempted to change my mind. I'd never seen such a small child. He seemed so fragile, so helpless. I couldn't bring myself to leave him in the care of someone else. But Angela got her way. The baby was named Liam. He was a perfect, healthy baby boy. When Angela's maternity leave ended, we knew it was time to call in the maid. She arrived at our door wearing a dress and an apron. She looked normal enough, except for the fact that she was missing an eye. "Ew," Angela said immediately. "You hired that to take care of our baby?" I was embarrassed by Angela's sudden outburst, but the maid didn't seem offended. She offered to hold Liam, and within seconds, he was lulled to sleep. "See, honey?" I said to Angela. I was skeptical before, but she really knows what she's doing. Angela wasn't convinced, but she had asked for a maid in the first place, so she could hardly complain. Weeks passed. The maid did her duties quickly, and Liam grew quite fond of her. I began to like her a lot myself. She was always there when we needed her, and always willing to help. But Angela wasn't so kind. She would insult the maid all the time, behind her back and to her face. The maid took it well, but I couldn't help feeling guilty. "You really should be more charitable to her," I told Angela. "She does everything she can." "Well, I don't like her," Angela said. "I've had a bad feeling about her from the start." So Angela continued to be cruel. She would find extra chores for the maid to do. She would insult her work and threaten to fire her. She even tried to turn Liam against her. Then one day, she decided that she wanted to host a dinner with my dad. She told the maid to prepare a special feast. All the food needed to be cooked to perfection. "Don't let the beef be dry," she warned, "or the vegetables soggy, or the potatoes hard." The maid did her best to make the meal perfect. She knew that Angela would find something wrong with it, but still, she tried. My dad arrived that night. and we sat down at the table as a family. I reserved a spot for the maid, since she'd worked so hard. "Why is she sitting with us?" Angela asked angrily. "She can eat on her own." "She deserves to be part of the meal," I insisted. The night started out tense, but Angela and my dad settled in. My dad loved seeing little Liam sitting in his high chair. But the maid wouldn't stop looking at my dad. She didn't say anything, but throughout the entire meal, her eyes stayed fixated on him. Finally, he met her eyes. "Nice to meet you," he said politely. "You must be the maid." "My name is Maggie," she said. Angela and I were both a little surprised, since she'd never really used her real name around us before. We had always referred to her as the maid. My dad looked confused for a moment. He stared at her with curiosity. "Do you know me?" he asked, finally. "John?" she asked. Her voice was uncertain, but hopeful. I saw tears fill my dad's eyes for the first time in years. He stood up and walked around the table to hug her. "Is it you?" he asked. She nodded. "The plane crash. I survived. I lost an eye, but... Well, I had amnesia for a while, and I wasn't really sure who I was. I became a maid to make a living, and when I remembered you, I thought it was too late." She pulled away for a moment to look at his face. "And our son?" My dad pointed at me. "In the flesh." "Mom?" We had an emotional reunion, and Angela burst into tears. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I was so cruel to your mother. If I'd known." But my mother forgave Angela, and we were finally able to live as a family.